Was anyone else fooled into believing that the recipe for success was to hustle harder, grind longer, and outwork everyone? And how the heck did exhaustion become a badge of honor? I bought into these lies for decades, but now I know better. And part of my awareness surfaced from deeply exploring one particular question that doesn't get asked often enough. What is the grind actually costing you? Because the consequences go far beyond just being tired. They fully impact how well you can lead yourself. And leading yourself shapes everything else that follows. You see, hustle culture doesn't just drain your energy. It slowly erodes the very capacities that self-leadership relies on. When you're chronically overextended and on the go, your nervous system lives in survival mode. And in this physiological state, your brain naturally shifts into short-term coping as a way of protecting itself. You become more reactive and less reflective. And it makes sense because you're just focused on getting through the immediate challenges of the day. But there's a massive trade-off here. Because as you are drawn into short-term coping, you're simultaneously drifting away from long-term thinking and planning. You're reacting to the hustle and the grind rather than making intentional, proactive choices that support your long-term vision and goals. And I get it. This is a hard one, especially for high performers, because slowing down goes against our very instincts. Instead, we think if we just push harder and grind a little bit more, that we'll achieve our goals and get to where we want to go. That is what we've been taught. But here's the problem. When you're stuck in a pattern of hustling and grinding, it affects you at the identity level, because a grinder's value is attached to the doing. They measure worth by how much gets checked off the list. So grinding winds up becoming about brute force. But a self-leader's value, on the other hand, it's in the thinking and decision-making and creating direction. They measure their success by their impact, and they recognize the leverage that's in their self-leadership. But the thing is, you cannot access that leverage if all your energy is tied up in the hustle and grind. I'm Laura Miner, a board-certified leadership coach, and this channel is dedicated to helping you fuel your success with the science of self-leadership. But I have to admit something. I used to subscribe to hustle culture, so I know firsthand that making the shift away from it is both challenging and uncomfortable, because it forces you to reevaluate habits that, on the surface, feel like they're contributing to your success. But I also know, not just from my own experience, but also from client work and field research, that the transformation waiting for you on the other side is huge. But there's a paradox here. You see, you have to slow down in order to speed up, because it's in the slowdown that you create the space where you get to intentionally choose long-term effectiveness over short-term validation. But how do you actually go about doing that? Well, here are 3 self-leadership infused ways to get you started. Number 1, block time for intentional thinking. Because here's the thing that grinders miss. Your most valuable asset is not your speed or your stamina. In fact, speed and stamina can actually take you in the wrong direction. No, your most valuable asset is actually your clarity. But thinking time usually doesn't get prioritized. It's often one of the first things grinders sacrifice when life gets busy. We see it as a luxury, so we let it get squeezed out by other more urgent and important things. But self-leadership challenges us to step out of reaction mode and to prioritize the activities, i.e. deep thinking, that will get us to the level of clarity needed for us to create the impact we're after. So I want you to go into your calendar and I want you to find 2 to 3 1-hour blocks of time in the coming week that you can dedicate toward thinking. Then treat the time block like any other important meeting or appointment on your calendar. Don't let anything creep into it, not other people, not email, and make sure that during this hour, you've turned off notifications and alerts. Then use this time to ask yourself higher level questions. Things like, what can I focus on that would have the most leverage and create the biggest ripple effect? Where is my calendar out of alignment with what I say are my biggest priorities? What do I need to do more of if I want to achieve my goals? What do I need to do less of? What would leading myself well look like right now? These types of questions empower you to lead yourself with intentional purpose instead of doing so according to the misplaced urgency that comes from hustle culture. Okay, number 2, focus on your outcomes instead of tasks. The challenge with hustle culture is that it trains you to confuse motion for progress. But that's where we can wind up super busy without ever gaining any real traction. Self-leadership forces you to ask a better question. What outcome are you actually trying to create? When you're clear on the desired outcome, you wind up with a decision-making filter that you can then process your tasks through. So instead of doing everything on your plate, you can pause and ask yourself, is this aligned with what matters right now? Are you the only person who can do this? Or can it be delegated in some way? Is this task actually moving you toward your meaningful outcome, or is it just keeping you busy? And remember, if it is not moving you towards your outcome, then it's essentially moving you away from it. These questions help you design your effort around impact instead of volume. So they move you away from the hustle and toward intentional design. You wind up focusing on those select elements that create real results instead of scattering your energy across everything. That is leverage, and leverage is a self-leadership skill. Now, the third and final strategy is to redefine what productive means to you. I touched on this at the beginning, but hustle culture literally impacts our identity. It prompts a belief that being productive means being constantly in motion. And when that's the belief, taking time to rest or think or reset feels indulgent because we equate our worth with our output. But when you alter your definition of productivity to revolve around your priorities, things start to shift. So I want you to think about what productivity means to you and how that personalized definition can support you in creating the impact you want to make. Maybe you're at your most productive when you're protecting your energy so you can think clearly, or when you're pausing long enough to make better decisions, or when you're saying no to something good so you can say yes to something great. Whatever it is for you, take a minute to write a personalized definition of productivity. And then, if you are really ready to lead yourself forward, end each day by asking yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well did you honor your definition of productivity? Right? Because it's so easy to slide right back in to the hustle culture version of productivity that we've been living by. But that's not going to get you ahead. It's only going to burn you out. So then, once you've given yourself a score, finish the prompt, tomorrow I will, and write a commitment to yourself for the next day. This is one of those exercises that my one-on-one clients are always a little bit reluctant to do, but then once they do it, they're always shocked by the results. So I want to challenge you to give it a try. Do it for just 7 days and see what shifts for you. By the way, if this type of coach-led support is helpful for you, you might really enjoy my weekly newsletter. It's filled with practical, actionable self-leadership tools and strategies to help you level up your leadership and your life. The link is in the description box below. And with that, I will see you in your inbox soon.